Hello, I'm Super Orange Cat, and Fooly Cooley is gonna be back. Whether or not we like it, we will be getting more Fooly Cooley. That's one of the highlights of this big day for Toonami. The 25th anniversary of Toonami was today, March 17th, and we got quite a few announcements. Most notably, the fact that I'm going to lead with the biggest announcement, that being that we're going to get two more Fooly Cooley sequels confirmed, that being Fooly Cooley Grunge and Fooly Cooley Shoegaze. Both of them have been announced to air in 2023, so that is next year. When in that year, we don't know yet, but we will be getting it next year. Now, a lot of people have had their thoughts about this, and I'm going to give you the timeline of my reaction, or at least my analysis of the general reaction to it. When this first got announced, I think around lunchtime, like it was insanely positive, mostly because the people who noticed that time were like the diehard Toonami fans. A lot of them really wanted more Fooly Cooley, and they're getting it and like, oh, it's awesome. We like the animation. This is gonna be so awesome. We're gonna get more Toonami originals on the block. And then it was curious because for the next hour or two, I didn't hear much more about it because the people who have seen it, the Toonami diehards. But I was waiting to see if there was going to be a general anime reaction to this because I recall back in 2016, the general reaction to the news that at the time we're going to get Fully Coolly Alternative and Fully Coolly Progressive was mixed, but generally pretty positive. People were like, oh, I like that show. That's cool. They're making more of it. But who today was the exact opposite. I don't think out of anyone who I did not recognize as like a diehard Toonami fan, I don't think I saw a single positive comment. Like I searched for it. I don't think anyone outside the Tomosphere really, really wants to see this happen. Like it's already a joke that a lot of people thought Fully Cooley 2 and 3 were too much. Like how the original was just lightning bottle, it could not be replicated again, but man, a lot of people were just not too amped about this announcement. And I don't blame them because at this point, look at like Toonami. Toonami knows they're gonna struggle to get licenses because Sony has iced them out in terms of streaming. Sony, as you know, has Funimation and Crunchyroll now. I think they're folding all of Funimation into Crunchyroll, and they're gonna get they're basically gonna get first dibs on the dubs over Toonami, unless something weird happens. Toonami's just gonna get the sloppy seconds now behind Sony, behind Crunchyroll. So that's going to be a tough avenue. As we know, we're not going to get Demon Slayer here. We didn't get Stone Ocean here. And we're probably going to miss out on several other larger titles. Like, for example, we're probably not going to get Jujutsu Kaisen. And you're going to have to improvise. So, Toonami has this ends with Production IG. And Production IG happens to have the licensing rights to the brand of Fooly Cooley. Which, there's a whole other thing about how they obtained it and how that was very sketchy in its own right, basically summed up as Gynex is a shit company. But yeah, Production IG is the rights of Fully Cooley, so having the ends with Adult Swim, ends with Toonami, since Adult Swim was where Fully Cooley originally aired, they have this ends and they can produce Fully Cooley when they really want to now. So we're gonna have effectively seasons 4 and 5 of Fully Cooley. And a lot of people are speculating what it's actually gonna be about. Like in the promo, we get Haruko swinging a sword, but like that feels like a nerf, really. Because she had that epic, awesome base that she used as a sword, she used as an assault gun, she used as an assault rifle, I mean, she used for all these different things. And it was just like this fun, unique, like creative part of the show where this base turned into anything. But now it's like, it's just kind of lame to be like, X character uses a katana. It just kind of hits this like trope, really, man. It just seems kind of lame to me. And I haven't heard anything negative about the animation. The people responding to the criticism said, "Oh, you just hate the animation now." It's like I didn't hear a single comment people complaining about the animation. Fully Cooley is a show that's always experimented with animation. Like back in the original, you had like that 2 minute period in like the second episode where everything turned to squiggle vision. And my favorite back in episode 5 when everything turned into South Park animation for a little bit, and even progressive Fully Cooley Progressive. The entire fifth episode was a completely different animation style of the rest of the series. One other thing I noticed that's kind of scary is Fully Cooley Grunge will be actually produced not by Production IG, but by a completely different company called Mont Blanc. Mont Blanc's, so far, they have under the belt exactly nothing. Well, they have some OPs and some EDs, like sourced out to them. They haven't produced any entire shows before. So this is going to be their first ever venture. And that feels kind of like a weird cost cutting measure than anything practical. But Fully Cooley Shoegaze will be produced by Production IG. Now, what I find interesting is the titles. Now, a lot of people are debating what being Fully Cooley progressive and alternative were about, but my theory appears to be correct, where it's talking about genres of rock music, like prog rock, which is like 70s, 80s stuff, alt rock, which is like a lot of 80s and 90s stuff. Then you have grunge, which is definitely early 90s, Seattle, Pearl Jam, Nirvana, Soundgarden, Mudhoney, Green River, stuff like that. And then you have Fully Cooley Shoegaze, which I think 80% of you probably have no fucking clue what shoegaze is. It's like a really it's like where like all the normies were into like grunge or gangster rap in the early 90s. All the Art Nouveau kids had moved on from moved on from new wave to shoegaze, which is basically intentionally drowned out instrumentals. Basically, if you want an idea what shoegaze is, just listen to any Cocteau Twins song or no, any Wales song that's not called Hombo Hump and Slowbo Babe, Maisie Star, groups like that. It's pretty decent, but if you've heard one or two songs, you've heard every shoegaze song that's ever existed. But I digress. It's gonna be interesting to see how this progresses. The reaction, like I said, has generally been pretty negative. I've seen a lot of funny memes about like them just milking Fooly Cooley dry. My favorite's like someone had like Muscle Man from regular show like scared holding a gun. It's like the pillows when they hear Adult Swim once more Fooly Cooley. It's so true. Those guys looked ancient back in 2018. You have to look super ancient by now if like how, all the stuff that's happened in the world and the fact that you don't get any younger. Ugh. And it's like it already sounded a little off in the 2018 the music they released for it. The only new song they released for any of the sequels I thought was good was really Thank You My Twilight. That's the only one that sounded like something that would be on the original soundtrack quality. But I digress. I wouldn't count on the Pillows being like an amazing, like drive the anime forward. We know they're back. We've heard announcements that they're gonna be back doing music for this, original music too, you know. But that's gonna be interesting to see. I mean, let's see how this goes. But this rings more alarms than church bells to me. More alarms than wedding bells at this point. But what do you guys think about that? Now, on to the other announcement. This is not the only show announcement we got today. We also got a new horror series already in production by Production IG called Housing Complex C that will be airing this year, 2022, on Toonami, which is interesting because you would now have to mention the other horror-based series Toonami's got airing soon, that being Uzumaki, which we haven't had an official air date for that yet. But I'm presuming, I think a lot of other people are presuming that's going to be in October because spooky, Halloween, stuff like that. And Uzumaki is going to be a 4-part series. I don't know how long Housing Complex is going to be, but it's already in production. It's apparently pretty deep in production by Production IG at this point. But again, that's going to be interesting. I mean, we don't have much about this. Honestly, the promo art for Housing Complex C I like better than the little like 6-second clip of Haruko swinging a sword we got. It's like, again, I don't hate the animation. I think the animation so far looks all right for Fully Cooley grunge at this point. But like Housing Complex C, some of the little bits of art we got from it look really good in my opinion. And that's something I'm actually very looking forward to. It's like question of does this air before or after Uzumaki this year? And it's gonna be an interesting strategy because Toonami hasn't really dabbled into horror much. So these are gonna be really the two first real big forays into the genre. So it'll be interesting to see how Toonami treats it. But again, and I'm assuming the two sequels for Fully Cooley will also be 6 episodes because the original 6 episodes, Progressive was 6 episodes, Alternative was 6 episodes, 666, Mark of the Beast, all that stuff. But I mean, what do you guys think? I mean, this is a lot of news to take in. I did not expect anything of this sort, and it was kind of a joke. If you watch my channel like a few years back, definitely in like 2019, 2020, whenever Toonami would have like a bad ratings week, I would make a joke of, well, at least there's gonna be 6 new Toonami shows soon, and I bet 2 of those are gonna be Fully Cooley sequels. Well, I did the math. So for those 6 shows, we have to presume one is Uzumaki, one is Senna, one is Shenmue, one is Blade Runner Black Lotus. Unless they counted like the Rick and Morty shorts as like original shows, which they're one-offs, so I hope they didn't. These were the last two. So my shit posting ended up being reality, which proves that we are in Clown World simulation, all that stuff. So yeah, So what do you guys think about Fully Cooley, Grunge and Shoegaze, and Housing Complex C? Leave your comments, leave your opinions down below. I am the Super Orange Cat, and that is all.